Note the disclaimer. And remember, my Patreon supporters got to see preview images, work-in-progress shots, and high-resolution images of the completed figure. If you want to join them, the link is right below. Hello out there, my friends! This is Wake Angel 2001 coming at you with the next part of Ryan's commission. It is Hilda Berg from Cuphead. Yeah, Cuphead, you know that game. It's kind of like Contra, but if it was animated by Disney Studios in the early 1930s. You know, some good old-fashioned rubber hose era character designs. Hilda Berg specifically kind of looks like an evil version of Pearl from Steven Universe, doesn't she? Like, I think it's the long pointy nose and the skinny limbs, but yeah, she really does remind me of Pearl in a lot of ways. I discussed with Ryan that there really wasn't too much in the way of toys with rubber hose style limbs. So the closest that he could find was this DC Superhero Girls toy line. You know, because the characters are long and thin and all that. So, yeah, it's going to be DC Superhero Girls Supergirl, who's going to be Pearl. And not Pearl, Hilda Berg. Hey, is Hilda Berg a pun on Hindenburg because she turns into a blimp for part of the boss fight? Is that what it is? It's like a feminized version of Hindenburg? Because that's kind of clever. There wasn't actually a lot of sculpting to do on this figure, except for the head. So the head is in a completely different art style, so that had to be almost completely scratch built around Supergirl's original head, which is, again, only there to fit on the neck peg like so many heads I make these days. So it's a big round head with the close-in Betty Boop style hair, except without the flippy outy bits, and a long skinny nose. There's actually a toothpick inside of there because I was afraid making such a long skinny nose it wouldn't be able to maintain its shape until it hardened. The first time I tried to paint the figure, I used bubblegum pink paint because Hilda looks like she has pink skin in the game, except that it looked okay when it was wet, but once it dried, it got really bright pink, and like that just did not look right. I mean, she looks like she has a giant piece of bubble yum for a head. So I waited. Once everything settled, I just completely remixed a whole new shade, which is a mixture of skin tone and just a little hint of pink, which makes for a much better Hilda Berg skin tone color kind of thing. Modifications to the body were much lighter. I just had to cover up Supergirl's collar, and since this is one of those figures where I can't dismantle the shoulders or hips, it was a bit of a challenge getting into the crannies, but there was a big issue in that the paint didn't like to stick to the shoulders very well, or at least the joints were tight enough that every time I tried to move them it would scrape. So rather than simply repainting the sleeves, I had to make new shoulders, which is probably for the best anyway, because Hilda Berg has a big puffy shoulder thing going on. I don't know what's up with those puffy shoulders. Is that really a thing back in the day? I don't think I've ever seen an actual outfit look like that. I kind of wish that Hilda still wore sneakers instead of just ballet shoes, because I had to carve away all the sneaker detailings from Supergirl's feet, and that you know how that just kind of leaves like this weird cankly looking thing, and not completely in love with how you have like a smooth leg right up until you get to the ankle articulation, and then all of a sudden everything there is all lumpy and messed up looking. It's not really much I can do about it because, you know, that's just the nature of making a custom figure. At least with the hands, I was able to just, like, sculpt rings around the wrists, so she kind of has a whole Amy Rose big gold bracelet thing going on. So with all the aggregate parts put back together, let's reassemble Hilda Berg and take a look at the completed toy. Alright, I know, actually, I haven't mentioned this before, but I do know that there is an official Cuphead toy line, so you don't need to tell me about that. Although I don't think they've made a Hilda Berg figure. I think they've done the Dice Man, the Devil, Cuphead, and Mugman themselves. I don't think we've actually had any of the other bosses yet. And even then, I probably won't be scooped because it seems that the Cuphead and Mugman figures are like a 4 or 5 inch figure scale, while this Hilda Berg is a nice 6 inch scale figure, you know, to go with that Papyrus that I made before. And, you know, between Papyrus and now Hilda, I've been making a lot of tall, skinny people, haven't I? That's That's a funny thing. Funny, you never really think about that when you think about action figures, although most dolls are shaped like this. Oh well, that's action figures that look like dolls. That's kind of the thing that I've been doing for the past couple of videos. So I hope you guys like it, and Mistress Weathervane hair turns into stuff like a giant moon. I never actually played Cuphead. It came out for the Switch, so I might get it eventually, but I get it. It's basically Contra that looks like it was animated by Disney. What's not to like about it? That's awesome. Alright, we'll see you next time.